It's easy as 1, 2, 3 finding a company that excels in electrical, plumbing, AC installation and repairs, painting and much more. SAS Electrical is here for you, giving you excellent service, great rates, timely completion. Contact SAS Electrical at 709-9215 or 359-1014. Call us today. SAS Electrical. Streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. GLS 103.5 out of Tobago.
In your face, all over the place. We're online. You're listening to the hottest internet station
In the Caribbean, GLS
103.5.
out of Tobago. Buckle up those seatbelts. No drinking and driving. No overtaking on the shoulders. No texting and driving. Your family awaits you at home. Drive to arrive alive. A message from GLS 103.5. As the nation continues in its fight against the deadly novel coronavirus, COVID-19, GLS 103.5 urges you to continue observing the new normal. Continue social distancing. Wear your face mask. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Avoid assembling. And generally continue to clean and sanitize your environment. We thank everyone for their continued yeoman service. The doctors, nurses, hospital attendants, supermarket attendants, hardware workers, those involved in pharmaceuticals, public service transport workers, sanitation workers. You are to be applauded in the fight against this deadly, novel coronavirus COVID-19. We urge the nation to continue to be safe and take the necessary precautions against COVID-19. It's easy as 1, 2, 3 finding a company that excels in electrical, plumbing, AC installation and repairs, painting and much more. SAS Electrical is here for you, giving you excellent service, great rates, timely completion. Contact SAS Electrical at 709-9215 or 359-1014. Call us today. SAS Electrical. Streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. GLS 103.5 out of Tobago.
In your face, all over the place. We're online. You're listening to the hottest internet station
In the Caribbean, GLS
103.5.
out of Tobago. Buckle up those seatbelts. No drinking and driving. No overtaking on the shoulders. No texting and driving. Your family awaits you at home. Drive to arrive alive. A message from GLS 103.5. As the nation continues in its fight against the deadly novel coronavirus, COVID-19, GLS 103.5 urges you to continue observing the new normal. Continue social distancing. Wear your face mask. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Avoid assembling. And generally continue to clean and sanitize your environment. We thank everyone for their continued yeoman service. The doctors, nurses, hospital attendants, supermarket attendants, hardware workers, those involved in pharmaceuticals, public service transport workers, sanitation workers, You are to be applauded in the fight against this deadly, novel coronavirus COVID-19. We urge the nation to continue to be safe and take the necessary precautions against COVID-19.
1, 2, 3,
One love. Ballet man looks up, but he's Rasta too. It's not how you look, but the things you do. Now, just say share your love to your brother man. Treat him kind and stretch out a helping hand. But you claim you're proud, you're kind, you're gentle. I hear you quoting words from the Bible, but now you're jumping on I back, even though I and I black, you turn not to dread. Now you're calling me bald head. Rastaman, I man, have a care. Supposing like me, you just lose your hair. Now, tell me what you gonna do for identity when your dreadlocks growing inside like me. Then we will know who dread and who faking. Without them locks inclined and shaking. With all that I have said, you would know this I man dress, so don't be misled. Stop calling me bald head. One love. Rastaman, bald man, Jaja say, one love. With the same skin color from him above. Why this big separation between you and me? How can the hair define an identity? Is Babylon war we fighting? But I and I still separating. All the books I've read say we come from one bed. I don't mess with the dead, so why call me bald head? Rasta, Irie. I man grow long locks to prove I man dread. Now to prove I man dread, I man shave he head. What's inside I man is inside I man too. So you see, I man is no different to you. The same oppression we both receiving is the same burden I and I bearing. I and I dread, I real, hail Selassie, I Rasta, dread I. Oh, yeah. Rasta man.
Good afternoon to one and all. We are right here inside the Sister Isle of Tobago. As we say good afternoon to you and yours. This is where we view the issues that affect Tobago. So as we say good afternoon to you and yours right here. We are here inside today with Mr. Anthony James. So to each and everyone we say good afternoon to you. I'd like to say good afternoon goes out to Tori Wallace. Good afternoon goes out to also Jennifer, Gail. I'm seeing many of you all who join in. Good afternoon to one and all. It is such a great privilege having you all inside. Hey, good afternoon to you, Mr. Anthony James. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon to you, my brother. It's good to be here as per usual.
Of course.
Looking
After
forward
all,
looking forward to a good program this afternoon.
yes.
Looking forward to representing views of construction.
Of course.
Yeah?
Of construction.
Yeah, views of construction. views to edify.
Yes.
Views that can make the world a better place.
So true.
That can make Tobago a better place, that we can reach destiny in Tobago. That the Tobagonian dream can be accomplished.
Exactly.
That the Tobagonian vision be accomplished. Every nation, every people has a dream.
Of course.
Every nation, every people has a vision, a purpose. Every history, every story has a story to be narrated, a story to be told, a story to replenish, to nourish, to make satisfying.
Yes.
Every nation has a story. And Tobago is located in a particular place at this point in time. But let me take the opportunity to say, not just to you, pleasant afternoon, evening, but also to all my fellow Tobagonians and my fellow citizens of the world, my fellow Tobagonians in Trinidad and in the rest of the Caribbean and in the United States, the rest of the world. Good morning to the Caribbean citizens, the citizens of Tobago and Trinidad, with whom we are in we are in relationship with whom we ought to be in partnership with. But at this point in time, we are not in partnership with Trinidad because of the incidents of history. And that history, that story, that experience that I'm referring to, and which all Tobagonians must understand by now and must seek to have a greater understanding of. Understanding, I say. Comprehension, I see. Not confusion.
Right.
Not misinterpretation, but a proper interpretation of.
Of course.
No confusion, no obstacle in terms of our understanding. Every Tobagonian must have that, you know. So, as I was saying, we have a story, we have a history here. And I want to speak to clarity where that story is concerned. So I say, the story of Tobago as we are right now, populated by Africans from Africa who would have journeyed across through the Middle Passage, and now located in time. That history, for the most part, is mired in oppression, in limitations, in bondage. So that where we are right now, we are not in partnership with Trinidad. But we ought to be in partnership with Trinidad, or not just Trinidad, Dr. Murray.
Right.
We ought to be in partnership with the rest of the world, with the Caribbean and the rest of the world.
Correct.
And to be a partner of somebody, you have to be free.
Exactly.
If you're not free, if you're not self-determined, if you can't really express your will, then you're not free and you can't partner anybody. A slave or an oppressed man is not in partnership with anyone, cannot partner anyone, Father have mercy and help me this evening in Jesus' name. I pray. You see? So this is where we are. And Tobagonians are concerned because we have questions. We know that something is wrong. And there's an election going on right now.
Correct.
Not just in Tobago, but in Trinidad. And as I was saying last week, elections ought to represent hope. But even as elections ought to represent hope, what you find in Tobago and Trinidad and in Guyana, I want to talk about these things this evening, my fellow Tobagonians. What you find is that elections carry a tremendous amount of fear. Why? This should be about looming, blooming.
Yes.
Not fear, but hope.
So
This is
true.
about opportunities to be grasped every time to make the life better, because tomorrow ought to be better than today, and as today should have been better than yesterday.
Correct.
You know, so that you have a lot of fear going on. People are afraid, and why are they afraid? They are afraid mostly of oppression, because they see certain entities, that if certain entities get into power, they now, not the person who get into power, not the entity that got into power, but the community, the constituency or constituencies that are being governed and who would have participated in the electoral process, not necessarily a democratic process, not necessarily, even though it has been charade, been deemed and been portrayed as that. Not necessarily a democratic process, but the elections, as we know, carry a lot of fear. You look at the Guyana situation, and there is a war consciously, subconsciously taking place in Guyana. And the reason, what's the reason? The reason is diversity and the mistrust and the distrust of diversity. But not just simply diversity, but really because people of different ethnicities have not learned to love thy neighbor as thyself, and have not learned to be fair and to be respectful, so that I discern a great deal of fear amongst the Africans in Guyana, amongst the Africans in Trinidad also, even amongst ourselves here in Tobago. Now, Lloyd West had said some years ago that the Indians are afraid. Because the Indians in the Caribbean, because when they look around the 7 million or so in the Caribbean, they are outnumbered. But there's another angle to that. The Indians are empowered, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, because they control industry. And there's a subtle war going on between the 1% in Trinidad and the Indians.
So true, that's so true.
Because really and truly, the way the politics has evolved, the Africans in Trinidad are nowhere. And that's a fact.
Okay.
And politics is not working for them. And those who lead them do not understand, or some of them do not understand, and some of them don't really care. Because why should the Africans be afraid when it is said, well, they came here 400 years ago, the Indians came just a few years ago, 1845. These are issues to be understood, 1845, on the fatal 1845.
Okay.
Right? The Africans would have come a long time before that. So we are here just about 400 years and counting. But the Africans have not excelled in institutionally, I might say. Some might say educationally.
So true.
Where has been the focus? How could that be? And the Indians, I must say, understand the importance of institutions. And right now, they are looking to control the institutions. If you control the institutions, you control the country. And the Africans are brutally afraid because, and they see there is not really an African agenda, an African national agenda, and that is dangerous in a plural society. If you don't have an agenda to build your stock in law, in the legal fraternity, in the business fraternity, in the agricultural fraternity, in the educational fraternity, in the financial sector and fraternity. Where are you?
Wow. No way to be seen.
What is happening is that whenever you go to a store or shop of real importance of any kind, it is not an African image that is selling to you or rendering service to you.
Okay.
We need to get down to brass tacks, as we say. That's the real politics, the politics of empowerment, of self-reliance, of independence. I hope my message is coming across. It is a message for the people in Trinidad, my brothers and sisters in Trinidad. And I will hasten to say that after this election, the PNM cannot win another election. This is the last elections that they have any hope
of winning.
The dice has already been cast. This is the only election. And I'm not referring to PNM in Tobago, because in a real sense there's no PNM in Tobago. I'm talking Trinidad right now. Right. There's no PNM in Tobago. And I will explain what I mean by that. Right. There's no PNM in Tobago. PNM is an identity taken on by Afro-Trinidadians, controlled by 1% in Trinidad, controlled by the stockbrokers, let me put it that way.
Right.
Controlled by financiers, by the money men, the money people in Trinidad, and they buy out that power. And the plantation system still exists, where the Africans are really the bulk plantation, and the few own and control the plantation, and that's where the decisions are being made. It is said that a working definition of a plantocracy is that it employs or has the services of a mass population, workers, if you want to call it that. But decision making is controlled in the center by a few people. That's a working definition of a plantation. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm saying to you, you can look clearly that the Africans in Trinidad, and they are not in the center of decision making. They are in fact a plantation. Okay. Don't be vexed with me for speaking the truth. That's what is going on, and we have to take the scales out of our eyes. Yes. And that's the real fear. They are afraid because they have no real power, the true power.
Exactly.
They don't have that. Tobagonians are on the outside and out of power completely. And people see this election now as being critical. Right. So what's the purpose of elections in the story of a people. What's the purpose of elections? And what do we hope to get? What do the elections mark and mean? That decision making to install or to deinstall at a certain juncture. Dr. Murray, are you with me?
I'm here.
Oh, what's significant in that? That you have an election in the story of a people. Very crucial, very important indeed. So let's rock to Tobago. So that, and to sort of examine, juxtaposing the experience, the story of Tobago and the story of Trinidad and Tobago. No, and the story of Trinidad. Knowing, so you have a monolithic society in Tobago, virtual African society. In Trinidad, you have two competing major stories taking place. And they are not necessarily trying to work with each other. And what has fueled that also, I might say, is the constitution, the Westminster constitution that was inherited from the colonial masters. It fuels greed. It fuels dominance in a multicultural, multi-ethnic, some people say multiracial, but there are no different races.
So true.
In a multi-ethnic society, that constitution cannot work, and there's an immense need for constitutional reform to fit the uniqueness of the society that the history has produced. That colonial history that brought people from Africa, from Europe, people from India, from Asia. You follow what I'm saying?
Of course.
And you would have bounced up on a native people. How do you now carve a constitution now that you can say is equitable and non-dominating? It doesn't have the kind of fabric where one entity can dominate the other, and that everybody can feed from the land that God has provided, because God provided the resources.
Yes.
Mankind has not created any resource. I want to make that point very clear. Many people feel they're bright and they study this. Mankind has not created any resource. The Creator has placed all the resources there. And it takes man now to extract the resources for the benefit of mankind.
Just permit me one moment. I'd like to say good afternoon goes out to Mr. Halvin Harridan. Good afternoon also to Kay and Williams. Good afternoon to also Anan. That's Sukaran. Good afternoon to Tori Wallace as well. Good afternoon to Alicia Roberts. And also good afternoon, that is Randall. And also to Mr. Anderson. Good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to GLS Online Radio. We are here with Mr. Anthony James this afternoon as you're actually hearing,
we dissect the issues.
Dissect
the issues of the
That's
society,
the
the issues of our experience, the issues of our fear, the issues of our desire, the issues of our destiny, the issues of our peace,
of course,
the issues of our security. So I was dealing with the societal makeup of Trinidad, the societal makeup of Tobago and Trinidad, as Tobago and Trinidad are in relationship and trying to find a common path.
Okay.
But history has placed us together.
Of course.
And we are trying to find a justifiable way, a just way, a peaceful way of coexisting. That ought to be our aim.
All right.
So that Tobagonians can fulfill their potential and the two ethnicities in Trinidad can also fulfill this. But the colonial masters who put us together, they are not now responsible for where we are, for where we are going now. That decision now rests on us. We have to work this out. We can't go with a constitution, with a set of rules that have been followed, copied. Rules that the colonial master make. Anybody who went through the constitution, as I have done a long time now, is a constitution absolutely copied from Britain, from England, to be more precise. Even though the English has not a written constitution, what has happened in the Caribbean countries is that they have followed the letter of the spirit of the constitution in England. And so you have the first past the post system and so on, and you go up for constituencies, and there's no real representation. And I'm telling you, people do not go up for election to become representatives for areas.
Okay.
That is the means to get into the executive. But people have their eyes set on the executive.
All right.
These elections are really governmental elections. Even to get there, you go up for 41 seats.
Right.
But people don't really want to represent the constituency. And in fact, the constituencies and their representatives are given no allocation to take care of those constituencies. People have their eyes set on power.
On power.
People are not interested in becoming opposition. People are interested in becoming government. And you can control the resources now of the country.
Yes.
And you can do what you want, especially in a society where you have votes. People going to vote for you regardless of what, because they fear the other side.
So true.
You know what I'm saying?
So true.
So there are a set of people who fear the UNC and will vote for the PNM. There are a set of people who don't want the PNM and will vote for UNC regardless of what transpires within their term of office, and regardless of what they promise, and they know whatever corruption or misdeeds will occur, they will still vote in a particular way. And you have to understand that that's not to be disregarded. But it is because of the type of rules that we have posing as constitution. And I'm submitting that the next governmental term would be one of constitutional reform. Has to be one of constitutional reform. A form that fits Tobago and fits Trinidad. It has to be. So I was talking about the elections, the importance, or what's the meaning of elections, and at a certain period, which comes and interrupt or puts the story on pause to start again. Puts the story on pause to start again. And so, what is at stake for Afro Trinidad? What is at stake for Indo Trinidad? What is at stake for Tobago? What is at stake?
What is at stake?
What is at stake, my people? What is at stake for Tobago? What is at stake? Let us examine. Where Tobago is concerned, Tobago is powerless by the rules.
Yes, we can see that.
So Tobago has inherited neo-colonization, neo-colonialism. Neo simply means modern.
Right.
And feudal means old. So that the old colonial system from Britain and from Europe, we consider that to be feudal. It's old.
Okay.
And today, what happens today, we call it new. So that, but colonization still exists. And as the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago said, that Tobago, and is a quote Mr. Charles would always make,
Yes.
Tobago exchange British imperialism for Trinidad imperialism.
Correct. Yeah.
Or British neglect for Trinidad neglect. That's not my words. That's the words of Dr. Eric Williams, who wrote, himself and Eric Williams and President Clark, who wrote this constitution, these sets of rules, who approved them. And so they declared, and they know it better than anybody, that Tobago has no power in this, but that Tobago really continues to be a colony. But now a colony of Trinidad. But we boast about democracy. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the Constitution boldly declare that Trinidad and Tobago shall be a sovereign democratic state. When the rules, the framework actually says otherwise. The framework says otherwise. So the real issue for Tobago is to self-determine, is to self-direct, is to possess.
Okay.
You see, if you don't own, you don't possess, you're not really free. If and as I've been saying, if you're not the subject in your own sentence, you can't direct the sentence. You can't install any commas, question marks as you like. So we are not in charge of our story. And that's the real issue. That's the only issue. Every other set of issues revolve around the issue of freedom. That's the issue in Tobago.
Okay.
So that candidates are campaigning and they are advancing that they're going to fight for that freedom in Tobago.
So true.
We need let's look at that.
So true.
Let's look at that. How many people understand you? Let's look at that. So you have this 39-2. You have a bill that was sent to the Prime Minister to be laid in Parliament. He has refused to lay it. Right? And the PNM in Tobago would have presented that
bill. Okay.
The PNM in Tobago
Would have presented
a bill. They claim they went around Tobago and these are the views of Tobagonians and so on.
Correct.
And they say that this will give them more charge of their destiny and so on. So that the PNM in Tobago submitted that to the PNM in Trinidad, and the PNM in Trinidad, after 5 years, did not lay it to the Parliament, and they come up with some excuses and so on. Well, we have to consider that. Tobagonians must look at that.
Yes.
We have to look at all the other issues, but we must look at that. I'm not going into the election and so on, but I'm just explaining the issues that attend the hosting and the involvement of the election, and in fact the politics as a whole.
Right.
So that they didn't table that, but that's the outstanding question here for Tobago. So the candidates are coming again, and they're saying they will fight for Tobago. Let us examine. Let us go to history. It's always good to go to history because there is nothing new under the sun. It is not the first time that a people is fighting for freedom, to have their own government. That's in the case of Tobago. It's not the first time. This is not nothing new. There has been internal self-government in the world before, because the world has a colonial history.
Right.
Been put forward that they will fight in the Parliament and they will send candidates to Trinidad who will fight for Tobago. I'm asking you, I don't know if you want to engage in the conversation. I'm asking my fellow Tobagonians here. You have the internet there on Facebook, whatever feed you're in, and you can type in your questions and so on. So I'm asking.
Yes, viewers, you can type.
But this is not about me. This is about all of us, as we try to make the world hopefully a better place. But we can't change the world without or fix the world without fixing ourselves here first. So let us deal with our own story here and see how we can fix it. Let us ask pertinent questions in our own story. And my question now: what possibly can be achieved in the Trinidad Parliament? I'm talking from the Tobago perspective. So the candidates, let's move forward. The elections are over, and candidates, representatives of Tobago, are in the Trinidad Parliament now. What are they going to tell Trinidad to do?
In other words, they have no power.
Right? So, all right, we admit that. Right. All right. But in order for power to reside in Tobago, what are they now going to say? What are they now going to articulate and get the parliament now to do on behalf of Tobago. Really and truly. I am submitting that. I am submitting that there is nothing the Trinidad Parliament can do in terms of handing Tobago self-government. The Trinidad Parliament can't do it. If the Trinidad no Parliament, all right, they are there and they say, all right, pass a law. In our own Parliament here, Tobago, you are self-governed. How are you self-governed? Right?
Exactly.
I am saying that representation, that actualization must be done by the government in Tobago. Because I'm saying the parliament in Trinidad cannot constitute the self of Tobago, the Tobagonian self, the Tobagonian politics. Tobagonian government and governance is a story of Tobago.
All right, let us say that the PDP actually won in Tobago. Do they have any power in Trinidad, in the cabinet? Do they have any say for Tobago? Do you feel that they have?
If they win and the government and the UNC wins in Trinidad, and let us, I'm not saying that, but let us say for reasons of hypothesis that they link with the UNC. Some have argued that they are part of the UNC. But let's suppose they have dethroned the PNM. The PNM is dethroned and the PDP win 2 seats here and the UNC win their seats and together they form the government.
Right.
I'm saying now, they can't write a constitution for Tobago.
Okay.
Trinidad and the parliament in Trinidad cannot write a constitution for Tobago and ought not to attempt to. The most the government in Trinidad can do is to withdraw itself.
Okay.
That representation needs not be done in the Trinidad Parliament.
In the Trinidad Party.
That in the Parliament there, follow me closely, that representation must be in the remit of the government of Tobago. That is called erroneously the Tobago House of Assembly.
All right.
But it has to be done by the government and people. We, the people. Government of the people, for the people, by the people. We, the people of Tobago, have declared from this day forth, this is our constitution and the rules whereby we will govern ourselves to promote peace and prosperity here. We establish this nation under God. For the peace and security, we exercise our natural rights. It is a work that has to be done in Tobago.
Okay.
Trinidad can say, all right, write a constitution down there, and here Tobago, this is all the constitution.
And we have to abide by it.
So this is what I'm saying. That's colonialism.
You're right.
That's oppression.
Yes,
That's not freedom. So those, quite respectfully, who are fighting to enter the Trinidad Parliament, it is really an act of futility. There's nothing the Trinidad Parliament that the representatives from Tobago can influence to have done. Trinidad cannot do for Tobago what Tobago must do for Tobago. Let's go to history. Now, we had all these Caribbean nations were once under British rule, foreign rule, French rule, whatever. Britain did not write their constitutions for them. Britain, who was the colonial master, or England, did not lead the nations of the Caribbean to freedom. England didn't. I'm looking at the history because this is not anything new. England did not lead Trinidad to independence. They did not lead Tobago to independence, Jamaica, Barbados, St. Vincent. Those people who are from Tobago are looking to go to Trinidad now. and who in their minds are convinced without clarity, without detail, just really a pie in the sky. Oh, we will go to Trinidad, and we will fight them down there, and we will... Tell me exactly what are you going to do? Can they write a constitution and then say Tobago? If the government has to emerge in Tobago through the organs of government in Tobago, it is the government in Tobago, it is the organs of government in Tobago that must do that. Tobagonians must look to Tobago and the government of Tobago, which in part was restored in 1980. So I'm saying to you, the Parliament now of Trinidad and Tobago has already accepted the fact that Tobago is colonized by Trinidad and Tobago must exercise that right. When they accepted the motion by A.N.R. Robinson in 1977, that is the last representation that ought to have been made by Tobago. The motion was passed. That was the real fight. And the House Assembly in part, or government in limited form, whatever form, was restored here. It is now for the people of Tobago, through that governmental structure, to declare the freedom of Tobago.
Just permit me
to educate the people of Tobago and all the institutions and power, and to take on the colonial powers in Trinidad and wherever they are in the rest of the world. You have to have the capacity right here in Tobago to stand against it.
Okay.
And to push the powers that Trinidad exercises in Tobago, to push them away. And not just the government, all of Tobago must be on board. Tobago has no business in the Trinidad Parliament. That Parliament is not a Trinidad and Tobago Parliament in the true sense. It is because Tobago is a part of a state called Trinidad and Tobago. And Tobago is only geography there. Tobago's real status in the government in the Parliament of Trinidad is an observer status.
Okay.
Is to observe. Tobago has no real power. The victory was won by A.N.R. Robinson and Dr. Murray already. It cannot be won again down there. It has already been won. The work has to be done here. What you need is enlightened leadership in Tobago. Enlightened leadership. Leadership with understanding. Leadership with conviction. Leadership that is anointed. Leadership that is purposeful. Leadership that is unrepentant. Leadership that is relentless. And knows where it is the government of Tobago which is stronger than two representatives in the Trinidad Parliament. What is happening here is that those who are coining, those who are making that overture, putting that narrative around, is because they don't really understand. And in that sense, quite respectfully again, they can't lead Tobago.
Right.
That mindset can't lead Tobago to independence. Because that mindset is saying that if Trinidad says no to their argument, then we are dooming Tobago. That mindset is looking with all confidence to go to Trinidad to ask some people in Trinidad who themselves are very ignorant. I'm telling you, you having ordinary people from a society that is generally politically backward.
Yes.
All due respect. I don't mean to insult anybody here.
Exactly.
Because the nation is not politically, the state, because Trinidad and Tobago is not a nation. The state with its people is not politically enlightened.
All right, Mr. James, just.
If what I'm saying, you're asking them to do what for you?
We have Aza on the screen. Just take that comment there for me. I don't have my glasses today.
I see Joe, Alvin, Harry. Right. Oh, done it is okay. Done it.
Yes.
Why should we have to go to Trinidad to fight for rights when we have elected representatives? Yeah, in the
Exactly.
THA or in the government of Tobago.
Yes.
THA better said the government of Tobago should at least fight for this. But which party politics? This seems far off. You're quite correct, ma'am. It is here. It is right here. We have to fight that. It is right here. What prevents the House Assembly now, even in the areas in the present construct, from making the policies, from making the laws, from declaring it here in Tobago for the areas that they have control over, even within the facility in the Tobago House of Assembly Act,
Yes.
where they can make laws. But in the current construct, you have to go to Trinidad. They have not
Yes.
provided any leadership there. They have sent nothing to the government in Trinidad in 24 years, to the parliament, nothing, because there's a clause in the House Assembly Act which says they can make law. But the law must be submitted to the parliament and then be assented to by the president. Now the political representation, the political fight, because you have to fight for freedom. Freedom is not granted. Freedom is not given. The Trinidad Parliament, I'm listening in to the stations, to the TV, to the radio stations, and
Correct.
people talking about Trinidad granting Tobago. Trinidad, I cannot grant you.
Exactly.
I cannot grant Trinidad, and Trinidad cannot grant Tobago. This thing is about will, because of the context of the world where Armageddon is necessary.
Okay.
Armageddon is necessary because you have to fight against evil. You have to fight against who is standing in your way, who is trying to prevent you from being birthed, from actualization. You have to fight.
Exactly.
There's a time for everything under the sun. There's a time to fight. But you have to know where you are fighting and who you are fighting.
So
The
true.
place to fight is not the parliament in Trinidad.
No.
This is Tobago versus Trinidad. But here the thing is, it's not a fight that Trinidad can win. Are you understand me?
Okay.
This is not a fight, and I'm saying the fight that was supposed to be won and fought was done by A.N.R. Robinson. It's just that they didn't realize what has happened. The same colonial parliament in Trinidad has already been defeated with the motion by A.N.R. Robinson. From the time they accept the motion, they have admitted that the Constitution is in breach, that the Constitution is violating the rights of Tobago. So that the House Assembly came. Know that the House Assembly came. It is Tobagonians to take that seat of government and to carry to whatever nth degree Tobagonians want to within their natural rights. Any law from Trinidad that violates the rights of Tobago, it doesn't count. And we have to understand that. Slavery doesn't count.
Anymore. Yes.
The Constitution of Trinidad, as I've been saying, is illegal. And I say that and people might be wondering, what is Mr. James saying?
Yes. Yes.
I say it, I trumpet here with all conviction and assurance and certainty. The Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago is illegal. It is illegitimate. It violates the law of human rights because it violates the rights of Tobago. But having said that, to emerge from that, there's a work that needs to be done. Tobago must constitute itself. Tobago must not send any bill to Trinidad.
So true.
And this is why I have not fought. You haven't heard me making any big fight or fuss concerning building. That bill goes to Trinidad. Trinidad is not to approve my freedom. Are you with me? The caller, the donators, they fully understands.
Yes. Yes.
It's not everybody can carry this fight. So you have people in the political sphere now fluttering. They're fluttering and they're fluttering up and so on. Something is there. No condemnation. Something is there. But they don't quite understand.
So true.
But nevertheless, the election will go on. Because people have to do what they have to do. Well, let us not fool ourselves in Tobago. This election can bring no benefit to Tobago. That mindset is wrong. Tobago's general elections is the elections in Tobago.
That's the THA.
That's what they call the THE. And I'm saying that, you see, you don't understand, when these things come, we have to define it. We have to redefine it. God has given us intelligence. Intelligence is not learned. You don't learn intelligence in schools. Intelligence comes from the Spirit of God. And the more you avail yourself to the Spirit of God, is the more intelligent. Knowledge also, I will say this evening. Knowledge is a gift. Knowledge is not information. A lot of people have information. Knowledge is different. Knowledge speaks of intimacy.
Yes.
Are you with me?
Of
Knowledge, because the very scripture says, the beginning of wisdom or knowledge, it begins with the fear of the Lord.
All right.
Knowledge begins with the fear of the Lord.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So you'll find in the scripture when the Bible talks of, and hold on to this, fellow, my fellow Tobagonians and all my listeners here, fellow citizens of the world just like me. We share the same DNA, the same blood and so on. We have the same creator. Follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me. The scripture says, when the scripture speaks of reproduction, hear what the scripture says. And Adam knew Eve. Intimacy. Knowledge. But intimacy. And Adam knew Eve and she bring forth.
Yes.
Reproductive knowledge
Yes, yes.
is intimacy. True knowledge is not learned in a school. It comes from relationship, first of all, with the Father. So you could be enlightened.
Yes, yes.
Now, to understand the nitty-gritty of the Tobago political scene, you can't move around in the flesh. You can't move around in the flesh to understand this. It is spiritual.
Yes, yes.
And the forces that are at work here in the world, in government, they are spiritual in nature. Because we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers. Spiritual wickedness. Politics is spiritual. And kingdom is spiritual. And that is why Christ came to announce the government of the kingdom of God. Because the kingdom of God was on the earth before.
Okay. Yes.
God didn't create the earth without government.
Without government.
Could not. And he is now coming to announce his government. No.
Yeah, so true.
So everything, when you read the narrative, is read this. Is read. It was here before.
Yes, yes.
Thy kingdom come.
Yes.
Thy will be done on earth. That kingdom was here. Christ came to restore
his kingdom.
The kingdom.
All right.
So I just departed there to talk about knowledge, because a lot of people running around with information.
Let's take
not wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Those things come from fellowship with God, and knowledge is a person.
Of course.
Knowledge is God. Wisdom, as you see there in, I think it's Corinthians, the only wise. The only wise God. Wisdom is a person. Understanding is a person. So Solomon asked for wisdom, knowledge, and it was given to him. He didn't learn that.
Yeah. Let's take one more comment from Ms. Hazel here.
Hence, we should not participate in any national elections because nothing is achieved, and she's correct. But I'll just submit, because we're here for clarity.
Yes.
For the Tobagonian, those elections are not national elections, my good friend. Donatils, because clearly we have fellowship here, you're in tune. Those are colonial, to the Tobagonian, those are colonial elections. To the Trinidadian, they are national elections. And they are general elections. Tobago is a colony. In the construct of Trinidad and Tobago, Tobago is a colony. The Constitution has done that. The first Prime Minister said so. Tobago exchanged British neglect for Trinidad neglect. British imperialism for Trinidad imperialism. These are the facts. Tobago doesn't stand a chance of winning the election because Trinidad has 39 seats and Tobago has 2. So these are not elections for government of Tobago. This is not about sovereign governance of Tobago. Tobago does not stand a chance. In fact, in those rules, the fact that Tobago is engaged in it psychologically and everything, Tobago has said, "I, Trinidad, take all that is me. You have won." And Tobago is going in to an election that it has already lost. Talk to me, fellow Tobagonians, man.
Yes.
Let's talk knowledge, wisdom, and understanding here. Let us talk intelligence. Let us talk sense here.
Yes, people send your comments.
We are on autopilot. That's slavery. Election bell ring.
I like how you say that. We are on autopilot.
And we just run. They say, "Come now, run," and we run there and so on. But we don't. We have not spent enough time to examine. But God has a plan in all of that, because He sees that we are in darkness, and His mission is to take us out from darkness. And I sense God is going to do something next year. So these elections are called in a timely fashion according to God's plan. But the real elections to come, where the Tobagonian destiny is concerned, is the government of Tobago elections that is the elections that are coming up in early 2021.
Yes, our viewers, if you cannot afford to text in, you can also call. Our number there is 471-4244. You can call, or you can WhatsApp call us, or you can call us direct. Mr. James is here to answer any of your questions.
If you want the truth, if you want to be free, if you want to achieve the Tobagonian dream, the Tobagonian vision, Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." The Tobagonian people must have a dream. But let us go forward. What kind of Tobago do we want to be in the Caribbean? What kind of Tobago we want to be alongside Trinidad and the rest of the Caribbean? What is the future? Could we have freedom in Tobago with Trinidad contesting our elections and participating within our politics? I am saying the future here, I'm unveiling it for you. Trinidad has no business in the politics of Tobago. This is only so now because we are in colonial times, where Trinidad has set the rules. The future, Tobago and Trinidad will be demarcated from each other, but we will relate to each other.
Exactly.
But Tobago must be politically independent of Trinidad.
You mind just repeating
But we will relate to each other.
Correct, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Politically independent. But we will relate to Trinidad. We will relate to Antigua, St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla. We will relate to Barbados, St. Vincent. We will relate to them. But we will be free. People are wondering, let me bring some clarity. People are wondering about resources. It is a historical fact that Tobago is the richest in the Caribbean. You look all around Tobago. Tobago is in a sea of natural resources, marine resources. Tobago is in a sea. In this new relationship with Tobago and Trinidad, because of the fact that they have held us down, legally, there's no government of Trinidad. Legally, there's a government of Trinidad and Tobago. We know in purpose and intent it's Trinidad government, but legally, it's the Trinidad and Tobago government. And all those infrastructure put down in the waters and in Trinidad to extract the resources of Tobago, that infrastructure does not belong to Trinidad. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Yes.
The infrastructure does not belong to Trinidad. And this is where you need real leadership in Tobago. Enlightened leadership.
Okay.
So there has to be a divorce from this constitution. Tobago must be pulled out. Tobago must pull itself out from the Trinidad constitution. Must pull itself out. There's no benefit to Tobago in the Trinidad constitution. No benefit. Tobago is subordinated there. What we are fighting for must be accomplished by Tobago pulling itself out from the Trinidad constitution. And Tobago must now take charge of all the resources out from the territory of Tobago. All the monetary value that comes out must belong to the people of Tobago. Anything less is slavery. Anything less is slavery. The relationship between Tobago and Trinidad must be such that if Trinidad is in need, Tobago can assist. In any form. If Tobago is in need, Trinidad must be able to assist. And that's how the civilized world functions. This period that is coming up here must be a period of transition. You have a situation in Europe there where Brexit. So you have the European Union, which Britain is a part of.
Okay.
And Britain is now putting out from that arrangement. So they call it Brexit. But there has been a long period of transition. A long period of exit. A long period of Brexit. Because they want to leave with certain terms and conditions. How they're going to relate to each other. We have many examples in the world. That's just civilized and mature leadership. The leaders we are electing Tobago must have that understanding. You don't hand government into the hands of anybody. Anybody. You have to understand the world. You have to understand where you are. For your story to be free. For your story to be respected and to be dignified. For your story to be sensible. You know what I'm saying? What kind of Tobago? We want a Tobago that attends the meeting places, the places and activities and events of engagement. Tobago must be there as a people in the world. An honorable people. A dignified people. Participating in the activities of the world.
Exactly.
Carrying the logo Tobago. Carrying the symbol. Carrying the identity of Tobago.
Yes.
Freely so. You with me, my brother?
Of course.
That is what has happened.
Man,
so the relationship must be able to realize that. And this is no loss to Trinidad. This is a loss to the kingdom of darkness. When Tobago comes out from this relationship, the kingdom of darkness will be sad, but the kingdom of light will rejoice. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
That is what had to happen. You know, Glenn Washington has a song where he said, what? Right could never be friends with wrong. Through your mercies, the weak will get strong. I am still moving on. Jah won't make the wicked bowl me over. Oh, no. I won't let them bad vibes hold me down. Through your mercies, we will. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a time in our lives that every man got to make a decision. Free from hate and strife and the influence of man-made religion. Brother man, hold on to your faith. Through your mercies. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So he's saying, right could never be friends with wrong.
So true.
Through your mercies, the weak will get strong. The scripture tells you God promised to help the weak and the downtrodden. We are not alone in this. We didn't come from Africa into where we are right now, lonely, lost, abandoned, and neglected.
So true.
No.
So true.
If that's the case,
We must not,
well, God is dead.
yeah, we must not be neglect.
But God is not dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And God is alive, and God has a plan. And God is still love. And for the people of Tobago, where the forces of evil are arrayed against us, God alone can deliver.
So
And I announce to the people of Tobago and to the world today, God will deliver Tobago. And next year will mark a different dispensation where truth will come alive. Where truth will come alive. And Tobagoans must be prepared for this.
Yes, yes.
And must be desirous of this. Where we can do something noble. Where we can redraw Tobago in a map of freedom.
of course.
You feel what I'm saying? You have this situation where the government of Trinidad and Tobago
Yes.
has abandoned Tobago. That in that sense, Tobago lands, the ownership, the land title situation in Tobago is in the gutter. It's amazing. Most of the lands in Tobago are not legal. People on the lands without deeds, they can't go to the bank, they can't participate in the legal system, and so on. It's pressure. And every time, no, Dr. Rory, a Tobagonian, you know.
Yeah.
A Tobagonian.
Yes, we know that.
A Tobagoan by birth.
Good afternoon, Kelly Thomas.
Not a Tobagonian by choice.
Not the right choice. I like how you say that.
Not a Tobagonian by joy or by
Yeah.
choice. No, he has spent 5 years and he has not attended to that Tobago land situation. So and it comes to the point again. Tobagonians have to do what they have to do. Dr. Rowley has taken on the person of a Trinidadian, and he's not one of us. This is for the House Assembly. And even within the current construct, if you had proper representation, if you had proper governance in the government of Tobago, that situation would have been resolved.
Yeah.
There is so much work to do, Dr. Murray.
Yes, yes.
Some of those things I don't even want to talk it on here
Discuss.
because there's a lot of work to be done
Of course.
to really make this Tobago free.
Yes.
There's a lot of dismantling to do. There's a lot of self-creation to do. Because you see, the institutions and systems we are participating, they are not ours.
Yeah,
You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
The banking
It
system, I
makes
can
sense.
go there.
Yes, it's so true.
You feel what I'm saying? The legal system.
Yes.
We have to design and redesign a Tobago in our own image and in our own likeness
Yes.
for our own prosperity. If you look at the workings and the trappings of the society today, they're not working on our behalf because they do not belong to us.
Yeah.
We must build our own institutions.
Yes. Good afternoon, Kian Williams. Send your comments. You always send some nice comments. Keep all the comments, share up the page.
And there has to be an African consciousness. I have to go there. In the Caribbean, in Tobago, in Trinidad, in Barbados, the rest of the Caribbean. Because many of the problems that we face here is because of that lack of consciousness among Africans.
Yeah.
When we talk about those systems and institutions, it's not only here, they're right across the Caribbean,
Yes.
where the resources of the Africans are still going into an alien pool called the banking system and the other system. The whole financial sector is not controlled by us. And one of the things that had to happen, this is something that most people don't know, but in my times of searching and probing to find ways and means, I'm telling you something. The money that we spend here in the Caribbean, the dollar, the TT dollar, the TT currency, the Barbados dollar, the Barbados currency, the Eastern Caribbean dollar, the Eastern Caribbean currency, the Jamaican dollar in Guyana. Where do you think that money is made? Let's ask. I want to ask the viewers that.
Yes, yes, yes.
The money, the monies or the currencies that are being spent and used by the government and people in the Caribbean. Where do you think that money is made? And that's a real problem. Well, I want to announce here, because these are issues we have to deal with. The monies are not made. The TT dollar, the TT currency, they are not made in Trinidad and Tobago. In what they call Trinidad and Tobago. The Barbados dollar and currency are not made in Barbados. They are all made in England.
In England. Wow.
Yeah?
So
They are all minted in England.
that's where all our
Yeah.
currency come from.
Yeah. And that sector, that monetary financial sector, the economists in the region don't understand. They have an idea. But I tell you the difference between information and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They are different things. I'll tell you something. Hear what America does. All the talk of recession and recession and recession. When America wants money, they could say America broken and all kind of different things. America don't get happy with those terms. When America want money, they print money.
The print.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They are the own printing.
Okay.
They had their own minting facility. They mint the money. And you know what they call it? Look what has been going on. To tell you how there's not a proper grasp of the financial economic system amongst our what we call scholars in the Caribbean. You notice now that the government ordered people to stay home
Yes, yes.
so that there was no economic activity
It is.
or a substantial part of economic activity was silent,
Yes.
was latent, inactive.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying? So people were staying home and just receiving money.
So true.
Where the money coming from?
Where it was coming from. Good choice.
And you know what they call it? Stimulus package. What were they stimulating?
Package.
But it's so in real sense, nobody worked for that money, but
So-
yet still you had money,
You had money. Easy money.
right? But you know that in normal times they will tell you, well, that's inflation
Yeah. Good afternoon, Cassandra Roberts.
because you have now more money than goods.
Yes, yes.
You follow what I'm saying? People were not rendering any service, but they were receiving money.
Yes.
When Obama became president in America, they said America was going through a recession. What did he do? You know what he did? They printed money
Exactly.
and they minted money and put it outside in the economy. And they call it stimulus package. Now, in the days of carburetor cars, for what I'm saying?
Yes.
We grew up in them times. When the engine or the carburetor had no gas inside it, the gas tank had no gas,
You're right.
and you had to go and jump start. What they did?
Pushed.
What we did? We go and we take gas, we open the carburetor and put it in the
inside
carburetor.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, so true.
That is what the stimulus is. So I'm saying, these people control the world economy and the world financial sector. In the Caribbean here, we must move to that point where we mint our own money and print our own dollars.
In this Trinidad and Tobago.
In the entire Caribbean. We must be free. No, I spoke of the kind of fear that people go through. There's tremendous fear in Guyana right now. Tremendous fear. That fear is going on in Trinidad. Why are people afraid? They are afraid because they are potentially or will be potentially powerless. So that you need a kind of constitutional arrangement. And by constitutional arrangement, I don't mean simply in terms of letter.
Right.
I mean in spirit. I mean in actual policies and activity. A living organism where everybody is in power. Where everybody is empowered. Right now, what the Constitution does is to put the resources of the land into the hands of a few people. You with me?
Yes.
And it is dangerous. The Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago legally in the construct. I don't use the term Trinidad and Tobago. I don't like Trinidad name being called before Tobago. I'm not part of that.
Yes, yes.
I'm putting that in quotation marks. You need an experience, a living condition where everybody within the jurisdiction is free.
Right.
Where everybody in the that's how the way God intended. God wants all his sons and daughters to be free to express themselves. All that he asks you is that you serve him. He is the creator, serve him. And we don't serve him by entrapping and subjugating other people. You can go and worship and sing the most sweetest songs as you like when you're going to your own fold.
Yes.
As long as you are exercising power over your brother, that is idolatry.
Right.
And you're stepping in the way of God there. God make men to be free. Everybody ought to be free. And freedom in every sense. Freedom is constitutional. Freedom is infrastructural. Freedom is systemic, financial. In every aspect, people must be free to fulfill their own potential. People must be free, must be able to access the institutions of service in the jurisdiction without discrimination.
So true. Good afternoon, Kizian.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. Send your comments. What
time we have there?
We still have time to play, but we run a little late, so we'll make it back here time.
6:53.
Yes.
Right?
Same time.
So I hope tonight that I would have shed a lot of light
on
on the currency of the events that are going on.
A gentleman met me and asked, well, he's still trying to get your input, or I don't know if they had a chance to view it with the airport and the people that to be removed, to be removed to a better or.
Well, that has been, Mr. Charles has answered that question very, very, very lovely.
Yes.
And so on. That ought not to happen.
Exactly.
He has more information than that. He was in government. He knew the plans that they had, where the airport ought to have been.
Correct.
And he would have been in the heart of it.
Yes.
I would answer you broadly, in terms of broad policy.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're going to remove people from their lands of posterity, from their ancestral lands, their lands of inheritance.
Yes.
You have to be equitable in doing that. And you can't put people in the street.
So true.
And tell them to go, no, you go and no, you take my land, you go and construct. That's not government of the people. That's not government of the people. It's not government by the people or for the people. That's a total failure. But it tells you the posture of the government and who controls the government. The spirit that is in government, that spirit doesn't care about African people. That spirit doesn't care about us. Tobago, part of the problem of Tobago's suffering is because we are African.
Okay.
And I know we are running close to wrapping up time.
Yes.
There are some other aspects that I have to go into in terms of the world politics and so on. Observe, I'm not in this election.
No, yeah.
I'm saying that Tobago's parliamentary relevance is over.
Exactly.
There is nothing to be gained from the elections in Trinidad. Only PNM and UNC and individuals can benefit from that election. That is a Trinidad election.
Yes. So true.
Tobago has to fight his own fight.
Yes.
Accomplish his own destiny through the setting up of government in Tobago.
Yes, so true.
That fight was won in 1977 in the parliament by A.N.R. Robinson. And Tobago and governmental body was set up in Tobago in November 1980, called the Tobago House Assembly.
Okay.
We have to redefine that and define it and furnish that into the government of our choice
Yes, yes.
in Tobago. That's what we have to do. That election in Trinidad has
So,
no relevance to Tobago. Some people are contesting because they want to position themselves for the assembly elections.
yes, which do you think is a wise choice?
I'm saying the message, if Tobago was where Tobago need to be politically consciously, the strongest message that Tobago could have sent is by not participating.
Okay.
That's the strongest message. The strongest message as to our destiny and where we need to go and want to go. If we are thinking of the Tobagonian dream in a knowledgeable, wise, understanding way, was not to contest that election. So that all our energies are focused here, the message would have been had. And from day one, you start defining yourselves. You start, look for instance, you have the public service in Tobago, and you have no service commission.
So true.
No, you don't need Trinidad power to, you don't need Trinidad permission to establish a public service here, a service commission here. You don't. Teaching service. All the exams done in Tobago are set in Trinidad. Now under the House Assembly Act, A.N.R. Robinson gave the House Assembly, gave Tobagonians the jurisdiction
Okay.
to do all those things for themselves. But those that have occupied the assembly are not in their minds self-determination minded. And this is why they're always looking to send things to Trinidad. They have not there are many other things I'll go into them another program.
Yes.
They have not utilized the law.
Okay.
They have not utilized it. All the exam, the test books, there is not a single Tobagonian test book in the schools in Tobago.
Wow.
Because there has been no leadership in Tobago. There has been no Tobagonian leadership in Tobago. In the institution of self-government in Tobago.
Okay.
And government is self-government. When government is not self-government, it is colonial. That is something else.
Yes, yes.
And you cannot call that government. That is illegal. That is illegitimate.
Yes, so true, so true.
You
so
with me?
True, so true that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So that they send another bill to Trinidad, and the one that they have here, they have not maximized, they have not utilized it. What you're seeing there is a psychological, spiritual, mental misfit, unfitness for government. They are not fit. No, I don't mean to criticize, I'm just talking the facts. What you have done, whatever little you have done, we appreciate that.
Yes.
The time has come now for Tobago to go beyond. For
So
Tobago
true.
to actualize.
So true that, so true.
The time has come for fulfillment. The time has come for Tobago to accomplish its dream. To be real and to be true. So that the potentials of Tobago can be achieved. You have a CPL going on in Tobago, in Trinidad, in the Caribbean for how many years? Tobagonians are not involved.
Well,
Are you with me?
Yes.
We have a stadium, the stadium is underutilized and it is still under the charge of Trinidad.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Wow.
The one Dwight York Stadium in Tobago is controlled by Trinidad.
Wait, look at that.
The boat that they're going to name APT James will be controlled by Trinidad.
God.
So that the name APT James will be controlled by Trinidad, just as the name Dwight York is controlled by Trinidad.
Wow.
I want we all to understand, you know, because I'm saying here,
Wow.
what we have posing in government and in the assembly here today is far removed from the reality, from the necessity.
Yes.
Is far removed. from what is needed. No criticism. I'm just stating the fact.
Yes. Stay with the fact.
Tobagonians enlightened leadership. Tobagonians need to understand nobody can give you freedom. Tobagonians must stand up with all spiritual might and conviction to stand against the forces of evil.
Yes.
Trinidad can't want democracy and freedom for itself and then deny Tobago.
Yes.
Don't worry about Trinidad. They can't.
You're right.
With the right leadership here, Trinidad has to back off.
Yes, yeah.
Let me say that again. With the right leadership in Tobago, Trinidad has to back off.
Yes, yeah.
With the right leadership in Tobago, Trinidad has no choice but to back off.
Tobacco.
We need leadership in Tobago that can lead not just Tobago, but can lead Tobago and Trinidad. Not in the status quo. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about true leadership in clarity of thought, clarity of existence, in enlightenment of thought and existence in the world. Can lead forward into the future to lead them in the pathways that they need to go. Tobagonians need to be led there. Trinidadians need to be led there.
Yes, yeah.
That is the leadership that must rise up. Tobagonians ought not to look for leadership from Trinidad.
Good afternoon to Mr. Wayne Clark, saying hello to you, Mr. James.
My big brother Zaba, man. I'm a breadwinner, man.
All the way
Zaba,
from
how you
Brooklyn.
doing, boy? Enough respect to you, Zaba. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Wayne Clark, locked one from Brooklyn. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, of course.
And he's an international man. We will understand that. Now, we grew up in the days of real consciousness in the 70s, 60s, 80s in Tobago
Yeah.
and in the world with African consciousness.
Yes, yeah.
Right? We must not be led in the world.
Okay.
We must lead the world. I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
In closing, I wanted to say this before I go. Africans, we must stop calling ourselves black.
Black, yes, yeah.
We are not black people. And black, in that story of black and white, black is not a color.
Explanation to all of you.
Black is not a color. The table before me here is black.
Yes.
I am not black.
Correct.
I'm African. You are not black.
Black, correct.
My skin color is not black.
So right.
We are not black people. It is a nasty
Word.
story developed in America by Anglo Americans and Euro Americans. It came from the slavery and the fact that they wanted to segregate themselves from the rest. They call themselves white. They are not white. The white there in that story means honorable, means distinguished, means they are the gods and the rulers. And black in the story means devilish, worthless, and in the back.
Okay.
There is no white man. There is no man of the color white. So I'm telling you. And words are what regenerate and reproduce and create. If there are no black people, then there are no white people. The day we change our language, our words, the world will change. Because word is what created the world. Word is what creates. The Americans understand that. And this is why they engage in so much media and so much propaganda. Because the words of propaganda shape the world.
Yeah.
We must be resistant to that. We are not black. And we must not stay in the back. We are God's people. We are God's creation in the image and likeness of God.
Yes, yes.
Black and white are terms created by America. They are terms.
Yes.
They are statuses. You feel what I'm saying? if statistics are good.
Just take that comments from Mr. Antonio Phillips. And when you complete, you have a next one here.
How do we get leaders? What do we look for in our leaders? The first thing is understanding.
Take this one.
The first thing is the understanding of who we are and where we are and what needs to be done and how to get it done.
Done, yes.
Leaders must walk with God. Leaders must walk with God.
Yes.
In our particular situation, I don't know how long you joined, but I explained before, there is nothing to be accomplished on behalf of Tobago by Tobago representatives, if they are represented as they call, in the Trinidad Parliament. There is nothing. What has to be done for Tobago must be led by Tobago. And the history shows, see if we can find out that for me. The history shows that the colonial master or parliament did not lead the colonial entity to independence or to freedom. In the case of Trinidad, Eric Williams did it.
Right.
In the case of Barbados, Errol Barrow. In the case of Barbados, Jamaica, the Manleys. In the same way, that is the history, cannot be done any other way. And we don't need no United Nations here. This has to be solved right here by us. It is the people of Tobago, through the government of Tobago, to declare and politicize and activate Tobago's freedom and to constitute it. The Constitution of Tobago must be drafted by the government and people of Tobago. You can't have freedom without constitution. That has to be done here. The Parliament in Trinidad has no business with that. It is not their jurisdiction. If you hear the narratives of the speakers and they're not telling you, they can't articulate that, they are not ready. All due respect.
Exactly.
If they can't tell you that,
Take that comment from your partner, Wayne Clark. Yeah?
if they can't do that, as my partner said, leaders were born, not made. So a lot of people going into politics or they want opportunity, and they're not leaders.
Correct.
They're presenting themselves, they're looking for opportunity. It's not their calling. When a people in bondage, you need people who are called and chosen for that purpose.
Exactly.
If they're not called and chosen for that purpose, the nation, the people will remain in that bondage.
Correct.
Anytime you see them looking to contest election in Trinidad, you know they're not ready yet. It has to be done here. Anytime they're telling you they'll go down there and represent whatever they want to do, there is nothing that the parliament can do for Tobago here. The representatives from Tobago in Trinidad or the candidates, wherever they are not stronger than the House Assembly.
Exactly.
And the candidates in Trinidad cannot constitute the Assembly or the government in Tobago. It is the government of Tobago, in partnership with the people of Tobago, must redefine Tobago. And they have all the rights. The government in Trinidad cannot say no.
Exactly.
There's really no business down there. The government in Trinidad cannot say no. If they say no, they are breaking an international law. And Tobagoans have to just do what you have to do.
Exactly.
So let me read this.
Yeah.
Hi, good night. I say that they should help the people who need it the most enjoying the talk show. Beautifully said.
Of course.
That's the role of government. God has made us servant leaders. And Jesus Christ was the greatest example. So he bowed down and he washed his disciples' feet. No, Peter didn't want him to wash his feet. Because he find God should not be bowing down to wash his feet. But God told him, if I wash not your feet, I have no part. You have no part with me.
Right, yes.
The greatest, the one who created, the King of Kings, he came and showing you the purpose of power is not unto yourself.
Exactly.
The purpose of power is to serve people. is to serve and serve and serve. Not all talk and rhetoric, you know. But to go into the communities and to transform the communities. What you have here in government in Tobago and Trinidad is that you observe there are certain depressed communities. They remain the same.
Yes, yeah.
Gun running, drug running, and we have to understand that guns go with drugs. And we have to understand the spirit behind that.
Of course.
But we can go and talk to our own people. We can educate our own people to lead them away from that mindset.
Yeah.
They are reachable. If we band together for the collective good. And one of the things you see, a nation must have a goal.
Yeah.
A nation must have a philosophy. Yeah. So you have people going in government. But what's the philosophy?
Yeah.
What is the national? I'm talking in the case of Tobago.
Yeah.
Tobago must have a national. I'm not dealing with Trinidad. I'm dealing with Tobagonian nationalism. Trinidad has its own nationalism. But Tobago must have its own nationalism and have its own national objective, its own societal
Yes, yes.
objective, vision, philosophy. Because you see, at the beginning of anything, there must be a word.
Yeah.
That's why the scripture, the most powerful and instructive scripture in the Bible is in John 1. In the beginning was the word.
Of course.
If you have a beginning, you have an ending.
You have an end.
And you have a middle. You have a story.
Correct.
You can't have a story without a purpose, without a word.
Yes.
So the scripture says, in the beginning was the word.
Of course.
That is the most powerful
Yes.
writing in the scripture, in the Bible. That in the beginning of everything, it is deeper and predates
Yes.
Genesis 1.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying? That goes before Genesis 1. In the beginning was the word.
Of course.
The word was with God. And the word was God.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying there?
Of course. Let's take this
The word is God. The word.
The word
All
is
things were
important.
made by him. And that's what he says in Hebrews now. And he uphold that all things by what? Not the power of his word, you know, but by the word of his power.
Oh, of course.
What is the word in Tobago? What is the ideology? That's what it means. What's the purpose? What are we standing on?
Of course.
If we don't have a word, we are going along in all kind of different circles in Tobago. What's the word?
Alright. That's the
You know what I'm saying?
very powerful words.
So everything we do must be predicated on that word.
Yes.
What's the word?
What's the word? Let's take this comment from Mr. Antonio before we wrap up. We have to
Blessings. He says,
go- How long?
how long?
Yeah.
Oh, how you do, bro? How you doing, bro?
No, this one on top.
How long again do you think we may be before the situation may change? The ones to make the move need to be identified. Do we know who they are? Good question. Dr. Murray always said that the leader will emerge, or the leaders will emerge. As I said, this cannot be done without God. I don't have the power to do it.
To do it, yes.
But God has the power. And God will, I'm quite sure that God is within the activities. And God will provide that. So we could have some sense of decency in Tobago and in Trinidad. God has an interest in this.
So true.
We are his people. God has an interest, and the leaders will emerge. I hope to be in that number. Because I will really, the things that I say here that I articulate, I will really love to have them fulfilled.
Of course.
I would really like to be part of that new dispensation to redefine Tobago, to push off Trinidad, to push off the forces of evil. I'm not dealing with flesh and blood here. What the spirit does, the evil spirit does, he uses flesh and blood.
Yes.
My war is not with flesh and blood.
Of course.
My aim here, my mission and motion here is with the truth. To have the truth established, to have freedom established in the world. And I can't deal with the entire world, but I could deal with my level of influence here, my sphere of influence, which is Tobago here.
Yes, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I must be able to effect truth and justice.
Yes, yes.
Justice in Tobago here. And I long for the day when Tobago becomes a nation in the world officially with all its resources. And I would love to see that Tobago nation be established in righteousness under the Most High God with His Son Jesus Christ.
Very great
That
words.
is my mission. I know with God, I know we can do all things through Jesus Christ
So,
who strengthens us. I know that with all conviction. But forget Trinidad and these elections. This is all about Trinidad. Don't get tied up.
yeah.
What is happening here with people who now coming into the fray is just a habit from long time. Election comes, so we have to go. Election comes, so we have to go. And they keep with that narrative going on. And everybody on autopilot. And they're running.
Yes, yes.
And tell you we have to fight and represent Tobago in Trinidad. We have to fight and we have to represent. We represent what? What is there to be represented? What can they do? What can they do? Let them spell it out. Can they command the parliament in Trinidad?
So true.
That magnificent and momentous victory was won by the great A.N.R. Robinson, appointed by God, and he scored that victory
Yes.
alongside the Honorable Dr. Winston Murray. Before them, because they quoted substantially from him, was A.P.T. James. He said, we will be.
Yes.
Robinson was quoting from him. He said, we will be what we used to be, self-governing territory. He said, we'll be today what we were yesterday.
Yes.
Because he looked back into the history and he saw that Tobago in the British colonial times was virtually an independent nation with its own governmental structure here in Tobago. So A.P.T. James said, we will be
Of course.
what we used to be, self-governing territory. He said we will be today what we were yesterday. It's a prophecy by the forefather, that was the grandfather of the struggle, that is coming true. When Robinson moved that magnificent motion,
Yes.
man, you must read, all Tobagonians must read that speech. You must be in the school. He cornered them from every angle. They couldn't say no.
Yeah.
And he said, tell Williams and them, don't pretend that you all don't know about this, you know, like this is anything new, you know. He said, A.P.T. James before me was talking this right here in this parliament. So you all know.
Exactly.
That's the track we must be on. That's the track. We must not be distracted from that.
From correct.
And the victory was won. From the time they accepted that motion, they cannot go back on it.
So
From the time they accepted motion for internal self-government, as he called it, once you accept a motion for internal self-government, you have admitted that there is colonialism and there is illegitimacy and there is illegality. There's oppression, there's colonization. The victory was won. There's nothing else that can be done again down there. Furthermore, he get the Tobago Assembly Act in 1996. But I'm saying, even without that act of 1996, if the right leadership was here,
we would have.
it is here, it has to be done.
Yes, yes.
It is here.
It have to be done.
It has to be done. It is here. The mindset that looks to Trinidad for Trinidad to pass something is wrong. So if Trinidad doesn't pass, so I'm in trouble then.
Correct.
My entire history that came from Africa to now is in trouble because Trinidadians say, no, come on, Tobagonians. Come on. Come on. Come on. I think this is where I sign off tonight. I think
I see a comment from Mr. Antonio. Yes, one last
Thanks for
comment.
sharing
here.
your knowledge. God bless. Yeah.
All right. So don't forget every Thursday afternoon from 5:30. Look out for Mr. Anthony James right here, where he actually brings to you what I should let him say that part. What he actually teach.
Well, it's all about our dream,
Our dreams.
our vision,
For
our
today.
right, our destiny.
Yes.
And no man can take that.
Our-
What Bob Marley said, every man got the right to decide his own destiny. And in this judgment, there is no partiality.
Okay.
Every man, every nation, every people has a right to decide
Yes.
their own destiny.
Yes.
And Trinidad can't stop that. I'm not afraid of them. Because I'm telling you something. I look through Trinidad. And there's not a single individual from Tobago or from Trinidad in Trinidad that can defeat me intellectually, philosophically, politically, in any philosophy where this is concerned.
Yes.
They can't, and this is not boast, this is not conceit, because I contact. When I want to know something, I meditate and I get in to fellowship and intimacy with my Father
Yes.
to reveal to me what is.
To be.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Me,
yes.
me and I come. You see, I come before the show here.
Of course.
I am prepared.
Yes, of course.
I am prepared. I'm prayerful.
Yes, I noticed that about you.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So that the wisdom of God can flow through.
So true. Before we do go, there is many comments, but I'm going to let you take that comment that I just sent up on the screen by your good friend, Wayne Clark.
Hey, Mr. Murray, thank you and GLS for the opportunity to listen to some views from the people of Tobago.
Yes, yes.
It's nice of you, Zaba, to share your views and to write in, as the case may be, as a Tobagonian from Roxborough in the States, and you have interest in what happens. What happens in Tobago, it affects you, affects your family. This is our history, man. And this is our story.
Of course.
And our story is our story.
Of course.
And I simply tell Trinidad, this is not your business.
So true.
Let me tell you something. If I get into the government in Tobago, from day one, I start to rewrite Tobago. I'm not even interested in what they have to say on me. From day one. Because I know it's my right.
Yes, of course.
Me, Trinidad, what? An individual in Trinidad must give me right? You're crazy, what? You're crazy, what? We starting to play cricket, football, and thing with the rest of the world.
Of
Trinidad is not Trinidad and Tobago.
So people, don't forget, next week we're going to continue. And I want to tell you, this one is full of knowledge. And man, thank you, Mr. Wayne, for just as you said. All right.
Enough respect, Zaba.
I open the doors because I know that there is talent. And with Mr. Wayne, I want to tell you, you know how long I've been behind this gentleman? But nevertheless, he's here and he's going to be on here every Thursday.
Yeah, God willing.
God willing. So look out for him there. So on the behalf of myself and the whole entire staff, look forward to see you all next week again. Or don't forget tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for tuning in this evening. God bless.
God bless you all.
Yeah.
One love. Ballet man looks so, but he's Rasta too. It's not how you look, but the things you do. Now, just say share your love to your brother man. Treat him kind and stretch out a helping hand. But you claim you're proud, you're kind, you're gentle. I hear you quoting words from the Bible, but now you're jumping on I back, even though I and I black, you turn not to dread. Now you're calling me bald head. Rastaman, I man, have a care. Supposing like me, you just lose your hair. Now, tell me what you gonna do for identity when your dreadlocks growing inside like me. Then we will know who dread and who faking. Without them locks and flying and shaking. With all that I have said, you would know this I man dread, so don't be misled. Stop calling me bald head. One love. Rasta say one love with the same skin color from him above. Why this big separation between you and me? How can the hair define an identity? Is Babylon war we fighting? But I and I still separating. All the books I've read say we come from one bed. I don't mess with the dead, so why call me bald head? Rasta, Irie. I man grow long locks to prove I'm a dread. Now to prove I'm a dread, I man shave he head. What's inside I man is inside I man too. So you see, I man is no different to you. The same oppression we both receiving is the same burden I and I bearing. I and I dread, I realize. Hail Selassie, I Rasta, dread I. Rastafari.
So don't forget tomorrow, you're here with the youths and them, as we say, is what we call Turn It Up Friday. Alright, good night to each and everyone. It was nice having you all inside. Hopefully from next week we're gonna have a continuation after the talk show. We expect to have our DJs taking it through. So on the behalf of GLS 103.5, have a good and productive night. See you all again.